welcome back to Beach Eats. I would just want to flip this steak. What I wanted to do, I just got asked a good question. How long is that steak going to be rare? It's going to be rare because I'm not going to cook it a long time on the other side. But what you see right now, you see how that nice sear on there? If that was like wet or had a bunch of pepper, you wouldn't have that nice sear on there. And that's kind of locked in the juices, and we're going to cook it. I can tell right now by feeling it's still going to be a good rare, medium rare. And one of the best ways to tell that is the, I don't know, does anybody here know the whole thumb thing? All right, now here's how, if you go up here and you touch this, touch that, that's about medium rare right now. And medium rare is this. Touch this part of your thumb. That's medium, that's like medium-ish, medium rare. The top of your thumb is well done. In between your thumb and finger in here, that's what rare feels like. So don't ever cut into a steak while you're cooking it, because you'll destroy it. Touch, it's the thumb test. Use the thumb test when you're doing that. So remember, rare, medium, well done, and somewhere in between is medium well and medium rare. So I got, you know, for me, this steak was done 10 minutes ago. I'm like, literally, for me, I'm like a couple minutes on each side, and that's it. And if you really like the real Pittsburgh style steak, you know, the black and blue, what I do is I take my steak and freeze it for 20 minutes so that it gets cold, almost not frozen, but cold all the way through. Take it out, rub oil on it, put it in the pan, and by the time you really burnt the outside, the inside is just thawing out. So it's like, and I like it like that. I like that kind of walking off the plate thing, you know. I like it like that. So that's what I do a lot. Here what I want to do is, like, I've got still a hot pan. I mean, this pan can stay hot. It's really good with heat. I got a little bit of oil in there, and I'm just gonna right away just put the corn in and let it char up. You know, if I was just up in New York City, I don't know, I think last week. Sometime recently, I went to one of Mario Batali's restaurants called Casamono, and everything they do up there is like alla planca style. They don't use cast iron skillets. They have the big, you know, the big flat top iron, and everything gets cooked, even desserts. They just clean it, and they clean out a pan like this, and they put a cup of sugar in it, and it would just start to burn, and they drop a bunch of fruit on it, and then they just scoop it up and put it in a bowl, and it's just fabulous. So I really dig that style of cooking. But this, you know, grilled or in here is great. And, you know, but I also love to cook it and shave it, and I also like to shave it raw to put into salads. Like, I could add it to this tomato salad if I wanted to. You know, I could do raw corn in there or cooked, but I kind of like it, I like it raw. It's got a great bite, man. Pull over on a farm here in Delaware, you know, corn's up, you know, it's up in a lot of places now, but it's going to be better in the next few weeks, especially with all the rain we had. And I'll pull over and just peel the stuff and start eating it, man. And that to me is like really eating. You know, while chefs, we spend so much time doing all this stuff, but you pull over farm and grab an ear of corn off the stalk, just peel it and start biting it, and that is good. So it's still kind of medium rare, but if I'm grilling it, you know, I want to get, if I'm grilling it, there, corn with deviled eggs is great. So if I'm grilling it, corn is awesome in that mix. And I'll put it down here. I'll get this other slippery one out, and I will fix that. I'm really good at fixing this stuff. And then what you do when something like that happens is you just go like this. And then you go like this. And now it looks perfect. And as some of you that have been in some of my classes before, I go, we have $1 deviled egg, and you put a little green thing in it, and now it's $2. So you just put, you know, you got these little things you put on top of stuff, and everything goes from $18 to $24. So while my pan is still hot, because I don't want to start it up again, I'm going to take some scallops here that are dry day boat scallops, which means they have not sat in any type of solution, you know, before they freeze them, so that it gets kind of funky and watery. You know, when you take a scallop or shrimp that's frozen in the store and you cook it and it gets kind of liquidy in the pan, that's because it's full of solution and it gets like half the size. That's called how big companies make money. It's like by filling up their product with a bunch of solution and soaking it in them. Here, I'm just going to drop these in the pan here around the rim where most of the oil is because we're kind of slanted here. I'm just going to sear them. I'm a medium rare guy on scallops, but we're going to set this up so you can see a little bit about it. Back to this corn while I'm cooking that. You try this, I tell you, you know, you're going to love it. You just finish the corn, a little spoon, and pour some of this chimichurri kind of herb oil on top of it. That's a lot right there, but it's all going to soak down. And I usually have about 8 or 10 pieces and just keep rolling it in that, and then hit it with a little salt right here, a little bit more salt like that, and some fresh pepper. This corn is like good to go, and it's just really, really flavorful. And one of the cool things about that is you bite in and get a hit of that lemon with the corn, and it's oh, you want this over there? Sure. Absolutely, got it. You guys try that. Let me know if you like it, and then we're going to send the steak this way. So you see how, like, just real quick, how like brown and seared this got right here. I got on the scallops, it's getting a nice sear on the side. That's because they were dry. There's no, like, if you could see in the pan, if we had one of the mirrors up here, you would be able to see that there's no like residue in the pan right now. So it's getting a nice clean sear, and you know, that's what you want. And since I already used that oil, we're going to put the scallops right in this herb oil here. Now, I'm going to do something with that in a minute. So these scallops, you know, you cook them, they're so fresh, they're so nice, it's almost like sushi. You know, medium rare in the middle, you can cook them through if you want. If you cook them through, like steak, like anything else, like if I wanted to have this steak well done, or I wanted these scallops well done, I would not cook them at the size they are. So you see how thick this is? If I wanted well done scallops, let's say this was a filet mignon, or I wanted well done filet mignon, I would take it and cut it in half this way. Because if you want a thick piece of meat or a thick piece of fish or a thick scallop cooked well done, if you cook it well done, by the time it's well done, the outside will be burnt and dry. And I mean, there's a big difference between burnt dry and well done. I mean, some people like burnt dry. But well done, sometimes in restaurants, they'll ask you to butterfly it or cut it into medallions. We do tuna rare in all of our restaurants, medium rare to rare. But if people want it well done, what we do is we take a thick piece of tuna and we cut it in half, and they get 2 medallions, which is cooked perfectly on the outside and cooked through. You know, not well done, it's cooked through. So you still have a lot of flavor, and it's just a really great fish or piece of meat or something like that. So remember that if you want well done, which is cool, you know, then cut it in the middle. Don't get a thick piece of whatever you're cooking and burn it and dry it out in the middle. You might as well enjoy, you know, the piece of meat or the steak. So here, these scallops, you know, for me, I'll cook them for a little bit longer because I know some people are going to try this. And what I just did is I'm just turning it over on the other side here a little bit. I feel the wind is affecting this just a touch. So I turn it over. One of the things I did, you saw with the steak, I only turned it once, even with scallops. Anything I cook gets turned one time. Goes on, turned once. You know how people pick up steaks and they move them and they cross mark them, or they turn them and they turn them back? Every time you turn a steak or anything you're cooking, it has to reheat itself. And when it has to go down in temp, it'll drop 100 degrees if you turn it over. If you pick it up and turn it over, it'll drop 100, 200 degrees quick. And then to go back up, when that goes through, it starts pushing moisture out, and it has to reheat everything, so you're like overcooking your meat. Most of the stuff that you cook at home, sometimes if it's not like perfect, you know, in restaurants, we cook everything about 75 to 80% done in the kitchen. Because by the time it comes from the stove to the heat lamp and gets expedited out into the dining room, it's continuing to cook. So if something is 100% cooked in our kitchen, it's going to be cooked 120% when you get it at your table. So even the same thing at home. From your stove to the table still takes 3 or 4 minutes. When you cook shrimp at home, as soon as the tail curls, it's done. It is done. You know, most people cook until it's curled and they want it cooked all the way through, and then they wonder why it's chewy or mushy by the time it gets to the table. And that's because you've overcooked it. And just remember, it is not 100% cooked in the pan. Don't do that. Cook it about 80% in the pan and then let it get to the table, and then it'll be done. Like these scallops are now done. So what I'm going to do with them is just line them up here This is going to be really good. Line them up here on this little herb oil that we have. I mean, there is no moisture except for just the natural oils of a scallop down in this pan right now. And line them up on this. And I got my my little tomatoes that have been marinating here for just a few minutes. And when we come back, I'm going to show you how to top this steak, top this these scallops. We'll kind of try to make the deviled eggs even look a little better than they already look. And I'm going to do this fruit salad, and then that'll be about it. And then, you know, whoever wants to eat can eat. But we'll be right back in a minute.